Okay, so welcome to today, everybody. And the focus of today is linked to reminding us of the focus on the breath, which of course is so fundamental to the Yin Yoga practice. So I think it's nice every now and then to have a session where we just remember that connection with the breath and how essential it is throughout the practice. And so today I'll be weaving that breathing focus into the practice, just to remind you that whenever we do any yin session, how important it is if you're noticing that your mind is wandering, that you aren't focused, then just bring your attention back to the breath. So once again, that can help not just releasing tension in the body, but also in the mind and the emotions. Is all sort of a link. It's all linked together. And so, of course, as well, this also works to stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the one that is triggered when we are resting and digesting. And that comes with those deep, long inhales and exhales. Okay, so let's start as usual, just sitting comfortably. And today I'm going to guide you through just the most basic of the breathing techniques, the abdominal breathing, or sometimes they call it the diaphragmatic breathing. So we'll start with just connecting with the natural breath, and I will guide you through 3 rounds of breathing. I'm going to go up to 4 seconds on the inhale, then retain 1, and then 4 seconds on the exhale and retain 1. Of course, if 4 seconds is too much for you, or 5, then of course do what is good for you. Never forcing when we're doing the breath, just trying to work on increasing the lung capacity. And if you could do anything, it's the exhale where we need to increase the capacity of the lungs, really, with the exhale. Okay, so getting comfortable and just bringing the shoulders back a little bit, the shoulder blades down, the back, the arms relaxed, the shoulders relaxed, the hands relaxed, not gripping. And let's just start by connecting with the breath, just noticing the natural breath at the moment. How does it feel? Is it flowing easily? Is it flowing quickly? Is it relaxed? And now let's exhale completely. And then we'll start with those 3 rounds. So inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. And now just continue doing 2 rounds at your own pace. Remember, as you're exhaling, feeling the abdomen expanding, moving out. And as you're inhaling, bringing the abdomen in, the navel in, and bringing it towards the spinal column. And when you finish those 2 rounds, just bringing the attention back to the breath. Noticing your body now, if it's feeling a little bit more relaxed. Okay, now slowly opening your eyes. And let's move to today's first pose, where we're going to move directly into the reclining butterfly. And so I have 3 variations here for those of you who'd like to experiment with different options. And let me start with the most basic. So the most basic is simply lying down and bringing your feet together, and the hands can go onto the abdomen, so we can just retain the connection with the breathing. So that's option 1. And then option 2, often when we are lying down, there can be quite a lot of strain on the groin and perhaps even on the knees. So option 2 would be to place 2 blocks on either side of the knees. That's the other option. And then another one, if you'd really like to also feel the opening, more of an opening for your chest, would be to place a bolster behind you. I actually personally love this one because it's a little bit like the reclining fish, but it just gives you that extra opening up of the chest right to begin with. And so I really like that option. So let's just settle into whichever your body feels like doing today. Okay, so just leaning back. Remember, if you don't have a block, if you don't have a bolster, you can just take a blanket, roll up the blanket. Just always making sure that the head is supported, because if the head is hanging over for 5 minutes, it could end up being too much of a stretch for the neck. So once you're here, once you're comfortable, as soon as you got into a comfortable position, just relax there. Remember, this is one of the most challenging aspects of Yin. It's the remaining still. Of course, the exception is if you feel any pain, then of course you should move out, or you should adapt. And because there's so much going on in the mind, it's a good time now to focus on the breathing, just to remind ourselves of that essential connection. So let's exhale completely, and then inhale 2, 3, 4. Retain. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. And now do 2 more rounds at your own pace. And if you have your hands on your abdomen, you can really notice the movement as the abdomen expands as you're inhaling and exhaling. And of course, it's really because the diaphragm, that muscle between the chest and abdominal cavity, is moving down as we inhale. So pushing out the abdomen, and as we exhale, it moves up, expelling the air. And so often we don't have access to this breathing, or we tend to breathe higher up in the chest, which is fine if we need to do things, if we need energy, if we need to be quick, but we can't spend all the day focused on that type of breathing, because that's when often we stay in this sense of stress. It's hyper alertness. And so it's really important to just notice your breathing. And if you can, just every day, spend 5 minutes just connecting with that parasympathetic nervous system, just with these 3 minutes or 5 minutes of deep, long breathing. Just stepping away from the hurly-burly of your life, just to release tension in the body and the breath and the mind. So now very slowly, just simply straighten your legs. If you're on the bolster, just move yourself off and push the bolster away or the blanket away, and just get yourself comfortable and focusing on the rebound. So the rebound you could feel in the groin area, the muscles in the groin area, the adductors, or in the knee. And perhaps a sense of space in the upper part of your body if you were resting on a bolster. And just allow this healing to happen in your body. As they say, we need to feel to heal. Okay, so let's slowly move up, and we're going to move onto our stomachs to do a little bit of an extension. So it's also a little bit of a counterpose to what we've just been doing. So we need to be opening up the front of the chest. We're going to continue with opening up the front of the chest. And remember your options. You could either just be lying flat on your stomach, or you could lean your hands, your head into your hands. You could cup that. You know, like sometimes when I don't know if you remember when you were a kid, did you used to lie on your stomach and watch television? Well, we didn't, because we didn't have television, but maybe some of you can remember that. So this is the same thing. And if you'd like, and if you feel that you'd like a little bit more of a nice stretch in your lumbar spine, which is the focus of this pose, then simply place a bolster underneath your elbows. And really important here, just to relax the legs and relax your bum muscles, really. That's really important, because this is what distinguishes it from other styles of yoga. In other styles of yoga, we engage the muscles to protect the joints. But as in Yin, we are focusing on the joints. We are focusing on stressing the joints. We need to relax the muscles so we can get to the joints. So we're going to stay here for 4 more minutes. And even though we are lying on the abdomen, we can, of course, introduce and come back to this breathing technique. So exhaling completely, and then inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Now just continue 2 rounds at your own pace. Up to 3 or 4, retain, and then exhale 3 or 4, and retain. And of course, whether you breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, or in through your nose and out through your nose, is up to you. Whatever comes easier for you. Ultimately, of course, medically it's suggested breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. is the optimum for the system. But of course, if that's not comfortable for you, just work on up to it. And you may find this breathing a little bit more constricted because we're on the abdomen. But it also gives us the opportunity to notice this movement in our body which happens in an involuntary manner. And it also reminds us that unlike many other aspects in our body, we actually have control over this involuntary system, so we can actually work on our breath. So it's both voluntary and involuntary. And now really slowly moving the bolster away and coming down, and you can bring your head, your forehead onto your hands or onto the mat, or if you prefer, the cheek onto the mat or onto your hands. Most important thing here, just relaxing the arms, relaxing the shoulders, relaxing the hands. And just feeling the lower part of the back relaxing. It's a nice gentle massage for your lower back. And if you're resting your one cheek, you can now turn to the other side, just so we can get a nice stretch on the other side. So from here, bringing yourself up to a seated position, and we're going to move now to a position where I'm going to give you a variety of options, and the most important of these, if you want to check all of them out, would be to have a wall nearby. So the focus of this pose is actually stretching the adductor muscles, so these muscles here. And we often use this, the pose of the straddle, so with the legs wide out and then moving forward in order to get into the adductor muscles. But often this is not accessible for people that they can't really move forward very much, and so they don't feel much of a stretch here. So in this case, I propose two options against the wall. The one would be the straddle against the wall, and the other one would be what I call the half frog, which is like a type of a straddle. But let me just first show you option number one, which is basically the straddle against the wall. So simply come against the wall and stretch your legs out. You can also have your hands underneath your knees if you feel there's too much of a stretch here. So you can just hold on to your knees here. That's option one. And then option two would be to bring your feet to the wall, to a sort of a position where your feet are parallel to your knees. And then just allow your feet to fall to one side. You can just play around with the position of your feet until you find a nice stretch here in the adductor muscles or the groin muscles. So I'm not going to tell you where to put them because it just depends on you. You can have them further out, you can bring them closer in. So just basically playing around until you find that nice stretch. And of course, we'll be here for 5 minutes. And if you are doing the straddle seated, what I always find is fantastic is just to come down onto a bolster. And remember, wherever you are, in whatever variation you've chosen, remember we don't push the body into the maximum range of motion that we have, because the focus is not stretching the muscles, activating the muscles to build strength in the muscles. The focus is actually relaxing the muscles so that we can really get into that tissue, all that different tissue around the joints. So by stressing that tissue, we can strengthen it. And of course, in this way, also help to make our bodies more flexible and, easier to do basic things with our body without creaking and groaning as we go into different positions. Okay, so if you have your legs up the wall, then basically bring your hands to your stomach, and we're going to move into that breathing focus. So exhaling completely first of all, and then inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. And now return to your 2 rounds at your own pace. And as you're breathing, just noticing the movement of the abdomen expanding out, contracting inwards.
but like the movement of the tide, of the water, of the waves coming up to the shore, moving away from the shore. Just constant and gradual. Okay, now very slowly, if you have your legs up the wall, then straighten them very slowly and remain there. And if you are leaning forward, just come up very slowly, round it back, and just stay facing forwards, just noticing all those sensations in the rebound. Okay, so from here, if you're against the wall, please come back to the mat and get into a seated position. So if you need to, sitting up on a bolster, we're going to move into seated twists. So from here, if you want to, starting with your right foot in front of the left foot, it's just giving us an indication which way we're going to turn. So we're going to do seated twists for 3 minutes on each side. Remember, before we move into seated twist, inhaling first and then slowly adjusting. Remember, don't force too much, don't go in too deeply, because then you may have to move out. So always going gently with the seated twist. Okay, so slowly inhaling and then moving towards, now I'm moving towards my right and looking out over your shoulder. Remember, twists are always great for releasing tension in the spinal column, and also as we compress the internal organs, also helping with any digestion issues you may have. Remember to keep the spine long, don't collapse. And now slowly let's just do that, those 3 breaths. So exhale completely and then inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain, exhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. And I very slowly bring the torso back to the front, first the head and then the torso. And we stay here for a minute in the rebound. So just notice how the twist feels in your spinal column. Don't be afraid of the twists. The twists are really important to keep the spinal column nourished. And also it's nice to continue with this opening of the front of the chest, which we are doing in the spinal twist. Okay, so let's move now to the other side. So once again, inhaling and then moving slowly the neck round now to the left, looking over the left shoulder, keeping the spine long. And then let's exhale completely. And then inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Just continue 2 more rounds if you'd like, or just return to your natural breathing. I know it is quite a challenge as there's a constriction of the abdomen, but it's also helpful to get healthy lungs, or should I say to keep the lungs healthy. Remember to keep the spine long. And now bringing the head back fast. And then we move the torso. And relaxing there, facing forward. And maybe now you've started to notice the effect of this deep, long breathing that we're doing throughout the class. And just notice if this is helpful for you, if it's helpful to center your attention. It's helpful to facilitate relaxing, releasing tension in different parts of the body. Okay, great. Okay, we're gonna move now to a pose where I'm going to provide you with one option, and then I'm going to show you a new alternative to this option. And this is the supported bridge. And so, as you know, normally when we do the bridge, we do the bridge on a block. So, of course, if you prefer that, and if you don't have a bolster or a blanket, then of course doing it on a block. So here we're going to come up onto the block and simply stay here. So that's option 1. And then option 2, which is the one that I want to show you as a new variation, which I actually really like. And because it's new, we're just going to do 2.5 minutes, relax, and then 2.5 minutes. So put the bolster underneath your sacrum. So normally we have the block, we don't have the bolster. And then extend your left leg and bring your right leg up to your chest. Okay? If you're doing this and it feels uncomfortable in the lumbar area, of course, please return to the normal position. And we're going to be here 2.5 minutes on each side. So after 2.5 minutes, I'll say, okay, now it's time to change. Okay, right. So bring the right leg up, and you can just let it relax here, or you can bring it in towards your chest. And here, of course, this might remind you of some other poses. This could perhaps remind you of the happy baby, but it's a little bit of a combination. So we have a nice stretch in the hip flexors here, and of course a nice compression if we're bringing the compression of the internal organs, if we bring the knee towards the abdomen. And so here, let's just move into that breathing technique. So exhaling completely, and then inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, relax, exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, retain, inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, retain, exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4,
retain. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, retain. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, retain. And now if you have both legs, if you have one leg bent, as I do, now is the time just to bring that leg down. And we're going to move straight into the other side. So bend the left leg and bring it towards your chest. Always being mindful of any pinching sensations in the lumbar. If that's happening, then just move back into the supported bridge with the block. And now focusing on that breathing technique, exhaling completely. And inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. And just continue 2 rounds at your own pace. Okay, so slowly bringing your leg down, and then I would just push your hips up, move away the bolster, move away the block if you have a block, and let's just straighten the legs there and relax. Just noticing all the different sensations that this new pose, if you did the new variation, any new sensations you've noticed after this pose.
Okay, so from here we're going to move into the last pair of variations of Bananasana. So if you remember, Bananasana, just coming to the edge of your mat. So in my case, I'm going to be on the right side of my mat, and then bringing first one leg and then the other leg out, and then moving yourself into a crescent shape. And then decide where you want to put your arms. They could be in a cactus position, they could be straight out, whatever feels good for you. You can also clasp onto the opposite elbows with your hands. And remember, as you go into this pose, you're going to feel quite a tug all along the side of your body. So we are really working with a stretch of all the muscles along the side of the body, from the ankle all the way up to the armpit and to the elbow. So even working on the upper arm there. Initially this could feel quite intense, so this is another reason why the breathing is so important. Just helping us to mentally relax, and then of course with the breath, this could also help with the releasing of tension. So let's exhale completely, and then inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Now continue 2 rounds at your own pace. And when you've finished, return to your natural breathing and just notice any effects this has had on tension, not just in the lateral side of your body, but perhaps in general, a sense of releasing tension from all those unexpected nooks and crannies that we can find when we just spend a little bit of time observing and listening to the body. So remember, the body bears such an imprint of what's happening in the mind, particularly with the emotions which go from the nervous system and they end up in the connective tissue. The typical knots that we have, for example, in the shoulders. And by doing yin, we are releasing those emotional knots. So there's a continual link between the breath, the mind, and the emotions. Now really slowly, first bring the arms down if the arms were above you, and then move your legs to the center of the mat. And before we continue, just bring your legs up, bend your knees for a moment and bring them to your chest. Just relaxing there for a moment, just releasing any tension that you may feel in that area. And then straightening the legs out into the rebound. And now let's move to the other side of the mat. So the left side in my case, and then extending first one leg and then bringing the other leg close, other foot close to it, and then shifting the body into a crescent shape. So bringing the shoulders into the crescent shape and the arms wherever feels comfortable for you. And we're going to be here once again for 5 minutes, 5 minutes. Noticing the tension on the side, the lateral side of the body. And then exhale completely. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Exhale. 1, 2, 3. Retain. Inhale. 1, 2, 3. Retain. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Do 2 more rounds at your own pace. Before you return to your natural breathing. Now slowly bring your arms down and then bringing your legs into the center and just hug your legs, your knees towards your chest. You can move from side to side, just giving yourself a little massage, lower back. Okay, and so from here we're going to move into the final relaxation. So grab a blanket. Switch the light off if you need to switch the light off, if that helps you to relax completely. I'm already yawning. I think the parasympathetic breathing technique worked really well for me. And then another thing, just remember using a pillow. You can also, if you want to place, sometimes people like to place a bolster underneath the knees. That also allows the knees to relax. So whatever works for you, just getting into position. And the most important thing here is to find a position where you can feel comfortable and you can relax without moving too much for 5 minutes. And before we move into the final relaxation, let's just focus on doing 3 rounds. So inhaling, 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Exhaling, 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Inhaling, 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Exhaling, 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. Just returning to your natural breathing now. Feeling the body relaxing, the tension falling away from all the different parts of the body. And remember, as one of my favorite quotes from David Svensson, who is a renowned Ashtanga teacher, he says that when we are breathing, we are bathing every cell of the body with oxygen. Just as when we shower, we are bathing the body with water. So just remember that beautiful analogy, just to remind you of the importance of breath. To remain healthy and calm. This technique is always available for us whenever we need it. So I'll just leave you to relax, release, and and renew. Now slowly starting to wake up the body, moving fingers and toes, making movements, whatever you feel like, with your wrists and ankles. Circles from side to side, up and down, whatever feels good for you today. And then inhale, bring the arms above your shoulders, give yourself a nice stretch. And then exhale, bring the arms down, bend your knees, bring them into your chest once again, give yourself a nice hug. And allow the knees to fall to one side, just remaining there for a moment in that nice fetus position. And then push yourself into a seated position. So thank you very much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed that relaxing parasympathetic Yin Yoga session for today. And have a wonderful week. And I look forward to seeing some of you on Thursday. Take care.